Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never, ever give up, if you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better. Thank you very much. Hook 'em horns.
Thing that actually you will find as you get older that you come to respect the most are people whose confidence is grounded in the fact that they do the work, they do their jobs well, they look after people who are counting on them, they are providing a positive impact in their communities. And you get that, and that will carry you a very long way.
It's with various governments, the donor governments, the governments in import countries. But at its core, it's really basically the same thing, which is finding innovators, people who've got breakthrough ideas, be willing to back them, understand what they're working on, measure what they're coming up with, try and make sure that when it's delivered, it really has the impact it's supposed to be, and getting into a feedback loop driven by very precise measurement.
Strengthen and apply 6 mental faculties in every area of your life. Your imagination, your intuition, your ability to reason, the will, memory, and perception.
Get into something that's really personal, that means something to you, something that you have something to say, something that's really individualized. And I wish I was more aware of that then, instead of doing a few things that I was told would be
supposed to do
good for me, and they weren't. Because it left me empty. So I didn't do a good job anyways. And I think that's the key to what we do. It's got to be personal.
All successful men and women are highly disciplined in the important work that they do. All unsuccessful men and women are undisciplined and unable to control their behaviors and their appetites. And when you develop the same levels of high personal discipline possessed by the most goal-oriented, successful people in our society, you will very soon begin to achieve the same results that they do. It's no miracle.
My dad, he always used to say to me, you don't want to look over your shoulder the rest of your life. He said, doesn't take much strength to pull a trigger. He said, try to get, these are words in the movie, try to get up in the morning every day and go work for a living. That's a tough guy.
You're right.
That's a tough guy. It doesn't take much strength to pull a trigger. What is that? You want to go work for a living on a job you don't like to do, but you do it for the love of your family. That's a tough guy, he used to say. The guy was right.
You can't allow anything else in, and there is such a thrill to doing that. You know, that's why it's so hypnotic and just mesmerizing, and I just love it. And I realize that the best times, I feel a similar thing with acting. And it doesn't happen that often because it's a team thing. You know, on a motorcycle, it's just you and it going. This is a team thing, and you require the environment to be created in which you can do that. But when that does happen, that's what I love about it.
Are you the best footballer in the world right now?
I think so, yes. In my mind, I'm always the best. I don't care what the people are thinking, what they say. In my mind, not just this year, but always, I'm always the best. I'm always going to say that because I think we have to thinking we are the best in our area. So in my area, I think I'm the best.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at?
It's opinions. I respect the opinions. I think you're working well because, you know, what I am today is started from that moment that I did weights in my feet and jumping and do dribblings, and I take it off and I feel more faster. So it was funny, and I remember so good, and I'm happy to have this memory. What I did the last let's say 15 years. So it's good improvement.
I have an unhealthy obsession with spending money, but I have a healthy obsession with making it, so it's all good.
Everybody has that voice in their head that says, hey, could you really do this? Is it going to happen? A lot of times we all say, somebody blows a whistle and says, all right, come on, You don't belong here. Get out of here. We're taking you back. If you believe it, if you really believe that you could be something, if you have that little voice in your head saying, hey, you got talent, you could do this, then follow that voice.
How can we as human beings develop a talent, not necessarily for sports, but a talent for living, for the actual changes of everyday life? Now, I've said a few things about my story, but let me acknowledge your story. You have a story as well, and it's your treasure, because no story on the planet is exactly like yours. It's not as if you just have a story, you are a story in the making. You're a novel being written, and you never know what the next chapter is going to be.
So after 22 years and 83,000 scans, the single most important lesson my colleagues and I have learned is that you can literally change people's brains. And when you do, you change their life. You are not stuck with the brain you have. You can make it better, and we can prove it.
You know who has a plan B? Motherfuckers that lose. That's a fact, okay? Every single person that wins big, every single person that you look at, every single person that you're inspired by, every single person that you aspire to be like, they only have one motherfucking plan, and that is they are going to win or they are going to die fucking trying, okay?
I take everything that I do by the minute, hour, day, month, year, and I look at it and I create systems. It may sound a little OCD or anal retentive, but it actually works. So I took, for example, I brush my teeth, floss my teeth, and take Listerine every morning. And I took that and I started realizing that I would daze off and forget what tooth, and it took me an average of 6 minutes a day. But if I stayed focused in the morning and that small little thing that I do every day, I can save 4 minutes.
What brings me joy and happiness is knowing how beautiful the mind is. And I'm one of the few people that didn't read about it, didn't experience it through some drug. I got to experience the beauty of true fucking willpower. True, fuck you, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fucking fail, I'm gonna fucking fail, I'm gonna fucking fail, and I will succeed.
Trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. So, I mean, what tends to happen is it's sort of quite exciting for the first several months of starting a company. And then reality sets in, things don't go as well as planned, customers aren't signing up, the technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought. And then that can sometimes be compounded by a recession, and it can be very, very painful.
Use the music, let them dance on it. The message is heavy, let them make the decision what they're gonna do about that message. It's not your job to make people feel guilty when you're on stage. It's your job to empower them. Bring the problems that you want to talk about. Bring it in a way that it doesn't put a weight on people's shoulder, but lift them up to say, we can tackle and we can do something about it. That's what it is about.
The one mentality that you must have in life is that regardless of what's in front of you, you still must grind. I'll never be in the Olympics. I'll never be a professional athlete, but still I grind. I fail at most things I do, but still I grind. I don't want to do half the shit I do, but still I grind. And that one day, you see me down a dark alley, run at 1 o'clock in the morning, know one thing. I was grinding. Stay hard.
Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
To be is to do. So I don't stand up and say, don't ever give up. I didn't give up. There was action behind these words. The second is, you can chase your dreams at any age. You're never too old. 64, that no one at any age, any gender could ever do, has done it, and has no doubt in my mind that I am at the prime of my life today.
You know, and granted, I'm also not the most outspoken person when it comes to political issues. I prefer to talk about it amongst my people, and if we're gonna do something, I prefer to go and make the change or actually do something and not just like post about it so that people are like, oh wow, this guy's really conscious about what's going on. Like, you know, the work we put in the communities, you know, the way we give back is legit. It's on the ground. Yeah. You know, it's not so you guys can all just like, you know, double tap and say, wow.
Instead of saying, woe is me, kicking rocks, head down in the dirt, I started saying, there's not a on the planet who would have this opportunity coming from where I came from. They would be a statistic.
Yeah.
So I started looking at it as power versus like big time defeat. And slowly but surely, every day, I started changing the voice in my head, because the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself.
When you start looking at your schedule, day 1 is 6 a.m. to noon. Day 2 is noon to 6 p.m. Day 3 is 6 p.m. to midnight. Your whole existence is going to change. And it'll be kind of fun in the beginning. You'll mess it up, but you stack up a week or 2 and you do that for a month. Imagine that in 1 month getting 90 days. Think about what would happen in your life if in a month you had 90 days and the rest of the world, the average in your life. Imagine that for a second.
People sometimes think technology just automatically gets better every year, but it actually doesn't. It only gets better if smart people work like crazy to make it better. That's how any technology actually gets better. And by itself, technology, if people don't work on it, actually will decline. I mean, you can look at the history of civilizations, many civilizations, and look at, say, ancient Egypt, where they were able to build these incredible pyramids, and then they basically forgot how to build pyramids.
I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the shit just becomes, your mind will say, fuck, okay, we're gonna figure it out.
It'll find a way.
Because he is not going to stop. It's not like, I'm gonna try one more time. We're going back. I can't read right, we're going back. I gave myself no way out, and my mind realized that. They said, okay, we're gonna adapt and overcome now.
You know, Emerson has this great quote where he says, we are what we think about all day long. I would amend that to, we are what we experience emotionally all day long. Now, oftentimes what we think about dictate what our emotions are. And so I can tell you that I believe the pathway to fulfillment, not just happiness, because the ultimate destination in life is fulfillment. We're all chasing that. We're all pursuing fulfillment. That's the ultimate emotion, is fulfillment, in my opinion. At least the one I want is fulfillment, because it embodies all of the powerful emotions.
Life is short and it's fragile, and we don't know how many birthdays we have. So we don't have to have a birthday to celebrate, just celebrate life. And if you haven't told someone you love them, do it now. Do it, tell people you love them. Call your friends, text your friends, hug them, kiss them. Be nice to the people at the DMV. They're people. Be nice to them.
I think one of the biggest mistakes people generally make, and I'm guilty of it too, is wishful thinking. You know, like you want something to be true, even if it isn't true. And so you ignore the things that, you ignore the real truth because of what you want to be true. This is a very difficult trap to avoid.
Waking hours, make sure you're productive. Put it in your calendar, you're waking up around this time, right? How are you gonna spend your morning routine? What does that look like? And then what are you gonna do? And mapping it out so that when you can step above your calendar and look at the week and the month that's ahead, you say, if I did these things that's in my calendar, I'm gonna be more successful. I'm gonna be closing in on my goals, right? Your actions map to your ambitions. So you create your calendar and then you go and live it.
Do you know what makes great people great? Is it something they are born with? Or do they make it happen by will? How do they do it? Find out the answers to these questions and more in Louis Gouvea's Change My Now. This is the book that you've been waiting for. This is not an ordinary book. It is your roadmap to greatness. Discover how to use your failures to propel yourself forward. Identify your bad habits and delete toxic people from your lives. And most importantly, learn how to reprogram yourself and manifest your success. After you've gone through the book, you will know exactly what to do to get where you want to be in life. The author, Louis Gouvea, has culled all his experience and knowledge to develop this handbook. Once you implement the actionable steps Lewis shares in this book, you will never miss a single opportunity to grow and thrive. Change your now and create a life of meaning and purpose. Grab your copies now.
There is anything morally or ethically wrong with looking at yourself as a victim or in any other way. What I am suggesting to you is that you consider the possibility that everything that happens to you in your life is an opportunity that allows you to expand into a fuller potential and powerful and meaningful life.
What if I told you this was the last Monday morning of your life? What if I told you you die this week? Would you complain about your crap job or that test you don't want to take? I doubt it. You would go much higher level thinking. Well, that's really what it takes. I'm gonna make Monday morning my bitch. I'm gonna make you Saturday Monday morning. That's what I want to do every morning, and that's what I want from you. Please, take a step back and think about how awesome it actually is.
SpaceX on Monday, and then Monday night flight to the Bay Area. Spend Tuesday and Wednesday in the Bay Area, then at Tesla, and then fly back on Wednesday night. Spend Thursday and Friday at SpaceX. In the last several months, then I would fly back here on a Saturday and either spend Saturday and Sunday at Tesla or spend Saturday at Tesla and Sunday at SpaceX.
And whether that is me, who loves the game of entrepreneurship so much that he goes so hard every day because he just loves what he does, or if it's somebody who only wants to work 25 hours a week because all their other passions are so interesting to them and that's what is good for them, we have to allow for everything. We have to allow for everything because everything is true and everything is real. And you need to figure out.
Money won't make you happy. No, dude, you're not happy now. Money buys groceries, okay? Money takes care of medical bills. I mean, this idea, this is the number one thing I hear from people. Well, I don't need to be rich. Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. You do need to be rich. Poor people are selfish. People that just get by are selfish. You're selfish because you're always talking about yourself.
From the time you were little, people have smiled you into smiling. People have talked you into talking, sung you into singing, loved you into loving. People have helped you all along the way. Some of them may be right here. Some of them may be far away. Some of them may even be in heaven. But deep down, you have always known they wanted what was better. They wanted what was best for you. They've cared about you beyond measure and have encouraged you to be true to the best within you.
I mean, generally you want education to be like as close to a video game as possible, like a good video game. Like, you do not need to tell your kid to play video games. They will play video games on autopilot all day. So if you can make it interactive and engaging, then you can make education far more compelling and far easier to do. So I think that's how it should be.
We never drop one rice on the table, and we will put the shoes like this. Whenever I go back my home, I see my son's shoes, one like this, one like this. No discipline. We learn this kind of very traditional when we see old people, elderly like this,
respect,
helping people. When he do this, yeah. Don't move, talk to me. They don't know how to talk.
Are they missionaries or are they mercenaries? Because the missionaries build better products and services, they care for their customers more. The mercenaries are trying to make a quick buck, they're trying to flip this company and sell it. They built it for sale. They always wanted to sell it, they wanted to get rid of it. And those companies aren't built to last. So that's the main thing I thought about when I saw these people on stage tonight.
Look at how successful the Millionaire Next Door book was, because it basically said, look, the millionaires are the people that don't spend any money.
Yeah.
They buy the used truck that they didn't
car
want.
is 20 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't go to Starbucks because that's $4. And if you don't go to Starbucks, you know, for the next 30 years, $4 a day for 30 years, 80 grand.
Right.
You live in Los Angeles, man, 80 grand, you're still broke.
Many kids and many grown-ups do figure out over time what their passions are. And sometimes we let I don't think it's that hard. I think what happens though sometimes is that we let our intellectual selves overrule those passions. And so that's what needs to be guarded against. Kids are very good about knowing what their passions are.
The one other thing that I would tell my 20-year-old self, look, I own 7 businesses. And I would not tell the 20-year-old Grant to go get six businesses. I would tell him to learn everything he can about real estate. Everything. Real estate is the business that's allowed me to go on these magnificent trips that I'm taking my family on.
When you think about your life, I think I often tell people that I work with, if you can get, because people have very high standards for how they want their work life to be, and I said, look, if you can get your work life to be where you enjoy half of it, that is amazing, because very few people ever achieve that. People don't dislike hard work. What people dislike is being out of control. Like they can't control their life, they can't control their environment. This happens to me when I get overscheduled. I hate being overscheduled. I want some time to be able to think and free myself. We all have the same amount of time in the world. Nobody has more time than anybody else. You cannot invent and pioneer if you cannot accept failure. To invent, you need to experiment. And if you know in advance that it's going to work, it is not an experiment. And so that's a very important thing. They are inseparable twins, failure and invention. And so you have to be willing to do that. And it's embarrassing to fail. It's always embarrassing to fail.
Music helps me sleep, it helps me study, it's helped me through a hard time. For me, when I'm making the music, I'm just like making it for myself. When I realized why people were listening to my music, and then I found this tangible thing, this sound healing that is actually healing on the cellular level, I put those two thoughts together and I was like, okay, my purpose in doing my music is not just for me to get through things, but it's to help other people.
You can join the game, fight the wars, play with form all you want, but to find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory.
The real message is we all started from no. I mean, we all had bullshit jobs. We all felt like losers. But through time and effort, you build a stronger human. You build a stronger body. You build a stronger mind. You build accomplishments and will and momentum. And then you look back and you go, hey, man, I'm not washing tables anymore. You know, I'm not washing dishes. I'm not cutting lawns. I'm not digging ditches. Yeah. You know, I'm a different person now, but I used to be.
I believe that if you turn around and confront the vulnerability that's part and parcel of life, you'll find within yourself a strength that will transcend that. And I believe that not only to be true, but supported by the best clinical evidence. And that it's important for lost young people, male and female alike, to develop a vision and take on some responsibility and understand that they have a vital role to play in the world.
A man has to decide that he's going to do something. He has to decide that. Yeah, well, you know, partly what you're trying to do in the future authoring process is say, okay, well, what's your highest value? Right? It's the star. It's like, okay, what are you aiming for? You can decide, man. But, you know, there's some criteria. It should be good for you. It should be good for you in a way that facilitates your moving forward. Maybe it should be good for you in a way that's also good for the family and the community. It should cover the domain of life.
I am a production of me.
You know, I thought, you know, it's not like I was the best rapper in the world or something, you know. I sat around and thought about it and then became Kanye West. I like just doing these train of thoughts anyway, though. It's like, it's kind of fun because when this goes online or whatever it is, it really matters and it like really doesn't matter. What matters is, you know, the people who are sparked by it and the people who are like offended by it. It doesn't fucking matter.
When I had my accident, I found out at that moment, nothing in life is promised except death. If you have the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.
What do you think happens when we die, Keanu Reeves?
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum is in theaters next Friday. Keanu Reeves, everybody. We'll be right back with Tootsie Star.
Regardless of how I fucking feel and how depressed I am, the sun is gonna fucking shine in the morning. And at nighttime, the moon gonna be there. And you're gonna look up, these days gonna keep going by. So do you let the days go by and look up and you done wasted a year doing what? Or do you just pick it up? All right, well, gotta figure it out, made some mistakes, life goes on. Let me figure out life from this point. People only fail because they get caught up into what winning was. You're supposed to fail at some point in time. You're supposed to get knocked down a couple times. You're supposed to lose. That's how you learn. Perfection is only a word because imperfection was discovered. You can't be perfect without knowing what imperfect is. You have to experience imperfection at some point to go, now I'm perfect. And that's what people don't realize. I see that. That's a clear vision.
Do you know what makes great people great? Is it something they are born with? Or do they make it happen by will? How do they do it? Find out the answers to these questions and more in Louis Gouvea's Change My Now. This is the book that you've been waiting for. This is not an ordinary book. It is your roadmap to greatness. Discover how to use your failures to propel yourself forward. Identify your bad habits and delete toxic people from your lives. And most importantly, learn how to reprogram yourself and manifest your success. After you've gone through the book, you will know exactly what to do to get where you want to be in life. The author, Louis Gouvea, has culled all his experience and knowledge to develop this handbook. Once you implement the actionable steps Louis shares in this book, you will never miss a single opportunity to grow and thrive. Change your now and create a life of meaning and purpose. Grab your copies now.
You and The Rock. You fuckers don't look like you ever sleep, man.
No days off. That's why I love his unattractive ass. He's a person that motivates me, inspires me, and the fact that we're co-workers, we're friends. I think it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be around that.
Yeah.
Because it's uplifting. You know, it just makes you weed out the circle.
And I always tell my entrepreneurs, a salary is the drug they give you when they want you to forget about your dreams. Because it's very easy to stay in that world where somebody is mitigating your risk. You just have to perform certain tasks, do them well for a third of your day, and they will feed you a salary.
Kids nowadays try to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like from a skill standpoint, they try to have them do all this fancy stuff versus like the basic stuff. And so I teach my kids the most basic stuff and we just do it over and over.
I thought all those so-called computer experts were wrong. And when you start telling people that all the experts are wrong, at first they call you arrogant, and then they say you're crazy. So remember this, graduates. When people start telling you that you're crazy, you just might be onto the most important innovation in your life.
Making The Revenant was about man's relationship to the natural world, a world that we collectively felt in 2015 as the hottest year in recorded history. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow. Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species, and we need to work collectively together and stop procrastinating.
I don't fuck with nobody. Yeah, I don't fuck with nobody, like at all, nobody. So it's very simple. I stay at my house and it's just me, my homies, my fiance, my little puppy I just got, and I don't fuck with nobody. I don't go anywhere. I don't go to parties. I barely go outside, like literally. I really don't go outside that much just because I don't fuck with nobody. I know that seems a little weird, but I refuse to allow any sort of cancer in my life to spread. So I just stay as positive as I can.
To me, I said in my book, business is the ultimate sport. You compete 24/7 by 365, and people are always like, well, why don't you just chill? You know, like, I love to compete. You know, I love to know that, you know, all these millennials, oh, you're good, watch this, you know? You know, I still go out there. I've had 2 hip replacements. I was playing basketball yesterday against guys half my age, right? I don't give a shit, right? It's just like, you gotta go.
My hero is me at 35. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero's always 10 years away. I'm never gonna be my hero. I'm not gonna attain that. I know I'm not, and that's just fine with me because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing. So to any of us, whatever those things are, whatever it is we look up to, whatever it is we look forward to, and whoever it is we're chasing, to that I say amen. To that I say, all right, all right, all right.
When you understand the power of a 5-second decision, and you understand that you always have a choice to go from autopilot to decision maker, everything in your life will change. You will be a different negotiator, you will be different in sales, you will be unstoppable in the gym, because you will realize the amount of garbage that you put in the way of your hopes, of your dreams, of your potential, of your confidence, of your courage. Everything comes down to the decisions that you make.
I can't wait to get home to become a girl dad and to hug them and to see the love and the smiles that they bring to us as parents. He taught me that just by looking at this tonight, looking at how he responded and reacted with the people that he actually loved. These are the things that we will continue to learn from Kobe Bryant.
I'd do anything to win. You know, if that means we play team format, we win. If that means I have to do whatever I have to do, we're gonna win, no matter how you look at it. And then you had all your media naysayers. Oh, scoring champion can't win an NBA title, or you know, you're not as good as Magic Johnson, you're not as good as Larry Bird. You're good, but you're not as good as those guys. You know, I had to listen to all this, and that put so much wood on that fire that it kept me each and every day trying to get better as a basketball player.
It is true. We fear death because we are born knowing only life. Right. I get that. However, I take another view, because I've been asked, if you could live forever, would you?
Yes.
Sure, that's an attractive idea. But the way I look at it is the knowledge that I'm going to die that creates the focus that I bring to being alive.
Service through medicine, service through art. Using whatever it is you produce, your product, as a way of giving back to the world. When you shift the paradigm of whatever it is you choose to do to service, and you bring significance to that, success will, I promise you, follow you. Service and significance equals success. I went to see Notes from the Field with Anna Deavere Smith, and in the bathroom, this woman comes up to me and says, you know, I've watched you all these years, and you did so much for me. And I used to just hear people say, oh, I watch your show, I love you, I watch your show. And about 10 years in, about the time I started talking to the audience, I would stop people and say, so tell me, what is it that moved you? Why do you love the show? Why do you? And this woman said to me just yesterday, you helped me to be more of myself.
Well, first of all, when I talk about dreams, I always let everybody know, why dream when you can live it, which is what we're talking about. Absolutely. Believe it or not, I lived in an apartment building on Northwest 7th Street and 49th Avenue, off of right by Kinlock Park. And I was about 5, 6 years old is when I said, okay, this is not what I want in my life. And let me tell you that I didn't dream or I didn't want money. All I wanted was security, stability, and protection.
I can, at will, go out of that stress and just see things in a different way. And it makes me feel almost like a ninja, you know, when in the ninja, everything seems to come at slow motion, you know, and in a sense you could step back and it's coming at me at slow motion and I can deal with it in a way that makes me feel more centered and in control.
Mistakes is one of the best sources of learning, right? Successes mean you do the same thing over again, and okay, that's fine. But mistakes that are painful stick. When I look back on my career, I think that the mistakes were the best things that happened to me. I remember my mistakes better than my successes. Somehow there must have been more of the successes to get me where I am, but I remember all the mistakes, and I remember the lessons. So that's what I mean by pain plus reflection equals progress.
I'm positive about life generally, and I generally feel that you can find ways of solving problems and making things work. And you know, I'm definitely a sort of glass, nearly full kind of person rather than a glass half full. So, you know, I think out of being just a generally positive person, you can make positive things happen.
Staying rich, one of the biggest keys to that is empowering your circle, empowering your family. Because you being rich and everybody else being broke next to you is only going to be so long before you jammed up.
Right.
But if you could make an investment that empower them, they don't need to ask you for nothing.
Wow.
This what I'm finna set up for y'all. Whoever ain't with this, don't even ask me for nothing.
No one has to laugh. In fact, I embrace the gasps as much as the laughs, because that means they were listening. You know? I think it's... an offence is good. Offence makes people think. It makes them think. It makes them come up with another argument. You've got to come up with an argument. Because I'm just tired of people saying, I'm offended. I want to say, so what? Yeah. That just means you're just telling me your feelings. I was like, I've got a pain in my knee. What do we do about it?
The wind is so at your back that you're like, wow, are you just, jumping over the waves and all that by yourself? And you're like, you bet I am. But there's a physics to the moment, man, moment, machine, whatever, and the wind's at your back. And then the wind does what the fucking wind does, and it changes. And if you're left there thinking, so I think it's great to be in full possession of what you would call supreme confidence, and then see what happens if you don't hold on to it so hard.
We all have fear. To be truthful, we all have fear. It's just how you deal with it. And, Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, but knowledge empowers imagination. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. Somebody says to me, what do I need to learn? I said, boy, you'd better learn how to communicate pretty quickly to people you don't like and get them on your side. How to win friends and influence people. Basic book. The number one skill of an entrepreneur is people skills. And to the degree that you have poor people skills, which I do, I don't say I have good ones, but because I still talk to people like I'm a Marine, and most civilians don't get along with that. So I don't have to pay tax as long as I'm like Elon Musk in partnership with the government. And that was always my ultimate goal, was to be a good enough entrepreneur that the government would want me as a partner. So when I buy, 1,600 units down in Tucson, government loves me because I'm providing housing. So I'm an entrepreneur in housing. I don't flip houses. That's a crime what they do, So how do I get rich? I borrow money and I buy assets with it. The poor person borrows money and buys liabilities like purses, cars, houses, and they get poorer and poorer and poorer. What does school teach you about money? And the answer is nothing. And that's not a mistake. That's not an accident. I knew that. Most people know that. But the way to keep the poor and middle class working hard is never teach them what the rich know. You have to make mistakes to learn, but our schools punish you for making mistakes. And then they also punish you for asking for help because that's called cheating. I call it cooperation.
Yeah.
So that everything is opposite from school. You know, entrepreneurs are not going to make good employees.
As you shift from the herd and rise to the rare air of that 5% or the top 0.0001%, you're going to have to think differently. You're going to have to feel differently. You're going to have to install different rituals. You're going to have to perform in different habits. You're going to have to be eccentric. And what I'm encouraging you is develop the character power to get good with being strange. Develop the interior bravery to be comfortable being eccentric.
So anything that's valuable is hard at first. You know, society says live an easy life. I suggest to you that whether it's a great morning routine, whether it's building a great business, whether it's releasing your masterwork to the world, maybe it's a great relationship, maybe it's a great interior life. It takes real effort. It takes the long game. It takes focus. It takes hard work. It takes bravery. But the rewards are so much more glorious than living an easy life.
You get angry. Anger doesn't happen to you. You get angry. You like it? You don't like it? Then why do you do it? See, around us, so many people will do so many things that we don't like. Yes or no? But at least within you, if you could decide only what you want should happen within you, would you choose anger or joy?
I take a lot of inspiration from what you're doing. It takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of energy to be an entrepreneur. And I think that therein lies, I think, your secret to success, which is your ability to overcome every constraint and every obstacle. And do it with the boldness and the risk-on nature of it. I think it's fantastic.
We all spend far too much time at work for it not to have a deeper meaning. Yeah. And in some sense, he was sort of invoking that notion of finding in work your own purpose and your own soul. And of course, individually it matters, and I've always thought that collectively, the company has a soul because it's made of people.
To accept help when it's offered and to ask for it when you know that you can't do it. The amazing thing is when you learn to ask for help, you'll discover that there are people all around you who've always wanted to help you, they just didn't think you needed it because you kept pretending that you had everything under control. And the minute you say, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm stuck, I'm scared, I don't think I can do this, you will find that lots of people who love you will rush in and take care of you. Remember this. As you gain fame, as you gain fortune, as you gain position and seniority, people will treat you better. They will hold doors open for you. They will get you a cup of tea and coffee without you even asking. They will call you sir and ma'am, and they will give you stuff. None of that stuff is meant for you. That stuff is meant for the position you hold. It is meant for the level that you have achieved of leader or success or whatever you want to call it.
Last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for having no days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive. I want to thank me for trying to do more right than wrong. I want to thank me for just being me at all times.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
I think that if you spend too much time worrying about what the audience is going to like, that they're not going to like anything that you do. I just look for ideas that I really enjoy, something that I really want to live with for a while, like the story about the people under the dome. And I get into it,
most of the time, and then I just have a ball. I never finished a book and felt like I'm glad that's done. I usually finish a book and say, geez, I don't want to say goodbye to these people. And if the people who read it feel the same way, then I'm really happy.
Fear setting is very simple. I take a piece of paper, I divide it into 3 columns. At the top, I put what I'm afraid of, and the decision, whatever I think is risky or scary. First column, all the worst things that could happen, in detail, the worst things that could happen. Second column, for each of those bullets, what I could do to minimize the likelihood of them happening. And then last column for each bullet, if they happen, how could I get back to where I am now? If you do this exercise, what you end up doing is completely disarming your fears.
How long can you stay in control? That's the difference. Are you going to burn out right away? All of a sudden you just let out all this rage? Or do you know how to control it and place it in the right places, not only to win the battle, but to win that war? And we literally have a war going on every single moment. It may not be out in here, but there's a war that goes on in here all the time with ourselves.
I realize that when I am in crisis, when I have quote unquote fucked up, my response is, you fucking idiot. You know, how could you? Of course, what did you expect? If I spoke to my friends like I used to speak to myself, I would have no friends. So what I started to pay attention to was how I spoke to myself and in my head. And in your head is a much more difficult conversation.
Following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. You can't wait for somebody to think you can do it. And you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe is in there. You got to be fearless. You got to be relentless.
Think for yourself. Think for yourself. Question everything. And believe in yourself. When you're falling, don't pretend like you're not. When you're hurting, don't pretend like you're not. Find people that uplift you, not tear you down. Understand that even your parents can be jealous of you and envious of you.
Happiness is peace. It's not pleasure. Right? And everybody thinks happiness is trying to get as much pleasure as you can get. There is nothing more agitating to your mind than extreme pleasure. Right? It's like peace. And it's like you just come into that beautiful state of needlessness where you realize you really don't need nothing. You know, and I'm just I'm ecstatic.
The reason why people are depressed and down is because they're not doing what they love. They're not doing what they love. They're doing what they have to. That's what the workforce and work world do. It steals dreams. It steals them. And the world has become so discombobulated with finances and money that people have to compromise their dreams just to survive.
Do you know what makes great people great? Is it something they are born with? Or do they make it happen by will? How do they do it? Find out the answers to these questions and more in Louis Gouvea's Change My Now. This is the book that you've been waiting for. This is not an ordinary book. It is your roadmap to greatness. Discover how to use your failures to propel yourself forward. Identify your bad habits and delete toxic people from your lives. And most importantly, learn how to reprogram yourself and manifest your success. After you've gone through the book, you will know exactly what to do to get where you want to be in life. The author, Louis Gouvea, has culled all his experience and knowledge to develop this handbook. Once you implement the actionable steps Louis shares in this book, you will never miss a single opportunity to grow and thrive. Change your now and create a life of meaning and purpose. Grab your copies now